catch up. Sorry, everybody. Oh, fuck's sakes. I can't even see what the fuck is going on. Alright, boom. 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 Oof, that's bright. That's bright enough. Alright, so the video I just put out, fucking customs that released the copyright infringement button right away. But, you know, something that needs to be talked about, I think. I've got 35 subscribers now. That's cool. Woohoo! Thank you, whoever the last two that just came in and subscribed. I appreciate it. I really do. I really, really do. When I say that, I'm not just saying that. I fucking actually really appreciate everybody who's subscribing. You can't see it. My eyes are watering up just talking about it. That's the emotion that I feel for people who listen to my stuff and choose to subscribe, because I don't try to push it. I know the power of repetition, and I know people that tell you every time to subscribe, don't forget to subscribe. They do that because after a while people will subscribe, and I know I could do that too, but I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it up to you, because I don't want to be somebody who's manipulating anybody. I want to be somebody who's trying to help people, you know. And that's not something against people that tell people to subscribe or anything like that. I'm just stating a point. I'm very well versed in NLP and analog working and all the various ways of either manipulation, controlling people, or whatever. But anyways, speaking of control, I'm going to talk about my dark days. I'll talk about after I was already on Suboxone, but I was still using amphetamines. Ritalin mostly, speed at times, cocaine at times. Cocaine was something I tried as a kid and felt like Superman the first few times I tried it, and really went to battle with that one. But as a person, as a human, I am one of these people. You know, I always thought maybe genetic. My father, you know, he drinks or whatever, and his father, my grandfather drank, and, you know, so I thought maybe, you know, it's a genetic thing. Maybe it's just something in the cards for me to be an addict, you know. But more and more now, with doing magic, I realize that I do have a choice, and I don't have to blame genetics. And obviously, to blame anybody for what I do is just stupid. You got to take control of your life. We all have to take control of our life. We have to take control we have to take responsibility for our mistakes, and for obviously the good shit. Good shit that happens to us is great. There's no reason to not be happy about what happens when we do good shit, but also the bad shit. And addicts, myself included, and I still call myself an addict, and I probably won't ever. It's a good reminder of what can happen, how bad things can turn, and to remember always what I overcame. And, you know, it's not always easy. More and more lately, I feel the need to use more than ever, and I find myself, you know, struggling to not use. But, you know, it's not that long ago that I was on Suboxone and using amphetamines. Like I said, speed, not as often, mostly Ritalin. Why? Why would I have the need to do that? Like, my opiate fix was completely gone. I don't crave opiates because I'm on something called Suboxone, which connects that part of your brain where the heroin goes and gives you that dopamine release, and it fills where those receptors are. So, because, like he explains in here in the video, people that are addicted to that, they're addicted not necessarily to the heroin or putting the needle in the arm, even though, you know, like smoking, the addiction part of smoking is literally having a cigarette, not so much the nicotine. You're actually addicted to the frequency of how often you like this, enjoy this, and have this, rather than the chemical in it. And with heroin, cocaine, even amphetamines, it gives people a sense of, you know, whenever you are chasing something, let's say you started a fucking project, you're building your altar, a tool, doesn't even matter, it could be not occult related, you're building something. Well, when you first start building it, it's super exciting. You're getting a dopamine release. You're getting a high, and it's not really a high, but that's how they explain it. That's what heroin does for people. That same feeling that a regular person gets whenever They ask for the raise and they get it. Same thing when someone teaches their kid to ride a bike, and when the kid learns to ride the bike, that's what they get. When you're chasing something, Peterson talks about this really great. He explains it really good as, you know, when you're going for school, when you're preparing for, let's say you're going to be a lawyer, you're preparing for the bar exam, or this big assignment that's worth most of your mark, and you fucking nail it, you know, right up into the point where you hand it in, you have that whole excitement of putting it together. This is what we're made for. We're made for doing stuff and accomplishing stuff. As soon as you accomplish something, it's like, well, now what? You can go into a small depression depending on what happens. Baby blues, women, it happens all the time. I'm not saying this is the same thing. I think there's some part of it that is related. It's not something I put much thought into, but just right now, since I'm on the topic, a woman is giving birth. She's having a fucking baby. She's holding that baby in her. She's getting compliments. She might be worried about the day she's giving birth. She might be excited for that to be over finally, you know, and then all of a sudden it happens, the baby's out. She's no longer pregnant, you know. She's gonna have to go back to work soon because most of that time she had off, depending on when she had to take off. But you know what I mean? So there's a whole like, well, now what? I just had the baby, I go back to work, and I don't even get to enjoy the baby. Like, this fucking sucks. Baby blues time, you know, and they can have for many different reasons. So I'll just leave that at that. But point is, when people are doing dope, drugs, that's what they're chasing. It's not the high. Opiates is a little different because you get dope sick. You go through withdrawal, so you need to be high just to be able to do anything. If you're taking opiates and you're not on something like methadone or Suboxone to deal with withdrawal, then yeah, you're if you're on those things and you're still doing opiates, but then yeah, you're chasing a high. But when someone gets hooked on those things, then they need a little bit of heroin, morphine, whatever you want to call it, codeine, whatever breaks down in your blood, which is basically morphine, because even codeine breaks down in your blood as morphine. But you're chasing that release of dopamine. And that's the thing. At that point, whenever you're doing a drug just to get a dopamine release, nothing else comes close. Like, you can be in love, you could be getting married, you could be buying a house. None of it matters. The only thing you get excited about is getting high. And it's sad. It's fucking sad. But it's true. The only thing that gets you at that point is that. Now, I'm in the after effects of having an opiate addiction. And after that, I was, okay, I want my Suboxone. When I take my Suboxone, I feel kind of good for a little bit, and then it goes away. I'm not dope sick, but it's like, now what? Well, if I start doing projects, I start doing things around the house, if I build something, whatever, I get a little release. It's like, oh, okay, I'm back to normal now. I can actually find joy in things. I can actually get dopamine release here and there from doing things. But it's not as strong as a high, per se, right? So that's going to take time to get back to normal. But so I was using Ritalin, and I was thinking, well, I need to use the Ritalin because... What? My son's staring at me through the window. I think he's debating on stealing something. Anyways, the dopamine release, by doing an amphetamine, I was using, well, I'm all over the place because I get so much energy when I do Suboxone that I need to calm down. I had ADD as a kid. All these fucking excuses just to get Ritalin. Why? Because after my Suboxone, let's say I took it in the morning, or later that night, I'd be super tired. I'd want to go to sleep, whatever the case is. And if my wife wanted me to do something, go somewhere, whatever, I know I'm not going to get a dopamine release there. And this is not like how I justify it in my head, but basically the way she likes to go out, talk to people and all that, to her, that's a way that she gets a dopamine release. She's a very social person, whereas me, it's like, not so much. So what do? To have that same effect, to be on the same level as her, I take Ritalin. And then when I take the Ritalin, I get the dopamine release. Gets me all amped up. I'm able to focus on one thing at a time, get a little bit of rush of energy, this part of doing a drug, having to go somewhere, and whether it's, well, I was snorting it at one point, but going in the bathroom and hiding the fact that I'm snorting something, you know what I mean, just to whatever. It's kind of like a dopamine release just doing that, but I had a really hard time. I went from having all my carries to not having a single one. Because after getting on Suboxone to get rid of my heroin or my opiate addiction, painkillers, I got addicted to amphetamines, hard, and they mix very well together, the Suboxone and that, because, with Suboxone the next day I wake up, if you got a shitty feeling, like, you ever done cocaine or speed, and you wake up the next day after not having much sleep and you feel shitty, well, take Suboxone and that all goes away. Any opiate, really. It's like a miracle drug. You could be sick and take fentanyl patch and be fucking perfect and not even feel the flu. I made a video a long time ago saying the reason why you can do heroin your whole life and not have as bad an effect, but alcohol will literally like tear your body apart, is because it's part of us. Our regular system in our body, the way the dopamine is released, the neural pathways that have this neurons. I can't remember all the fucking technical words. I should have watched that video before I did this. But anyways, all what happens whenever you're doing a heroin type drug, a morphine type drug, a painkiller type drug, all that is exactly what happens when you fall in love with somebody, when you set a goal and you start achieving that fucking goal. Like, you make a podcast and your goal is to, get subscribers and start making a little ad revenue. Well, the first time you get a deposit of like $20 in your account, you're gonna boom, dopamine release. It's gonna light you right up like Christmas. It's beautiful, and that's natural, and that's why the heroin way is not actually as toxic to your body, because all it's doing is doing what your body naturally does. What kills and hurts you is doing dirty needles, smoking something, whether the patches or whatever, going in your lungs, your valves, all these ways that guy said that they can get hurt. It's the way that they're putting the chemical in their body. If they do it some natural way, like just eating a pill, it could still affect your liver, but it's going to minimize it, right? But these kind of videos, that kind of talk is something that needs to be done, because for the people that have had a rough upbringing, who didn't have the mother there, and maybe it's not even the mother's fucking fault. Maybe the mother had to work 2 jobs because the father left, It's not her fault, but she wasn't there for her children, and she was trying to provide for her children. Well, it's not her fault, but her children still miss her, and her children are not going to have what they need in the first time they do something that releases a major amount of dopamine, dopamine, basically. First time they get that, it's going to feel like the thing they missed their whole life. That's why people chase impulsive pleasures, because they're told once they get that impulsive pleasure, they're going to feel great, because they have this emptiness inside, and once they get there, it's like, well, this didn't help. I don't feel any better. It doesn't do anything. And that's basically a drug addict in a fucking nutshell, is they're trying to find that one thing that'll get rid of the emptiness. And unlike impulsive pleasures, and you chase them and nothing happens, when the addict actually takes the drug, they actually get that fucking feeling for a little bit. And they know it's like, fuck, this sucks, because this feels great, and now the only way to feel great like this is me to have to keep doing this. You just both fucking found something that's great, at the same time you fucked your life up. It's such a fucking paradox. It's unbelievable. And for me, there's not much else that tops getting high even now, except for what I'm doing right now. A cult. Reading about a cult, learning about a cult. Fucking love it. Absolutely. But when I'm talking here, podcast, YouTube videos, that trumps even that. And that releases so much dopamine that I don't even need to get high, and I don't even need my Suboxone half the time. If you see my eyes watering, this is because this is something very personal and very hard to speak about, but it has to be spoken about. Because I'm tired of people looking at drug addicts like they're fucking evil, or they're terrible people. Yes, they do terrible things sometimes. Some of them do some fucking horrible things. But it's not their fault. I mean, a lot of people like to blame them and say, well, they're the ones that got high. They're the ones that chose to be a drug addict. It's like, I don't think so. No one chooses to be a drug addict. No one chooses to shop too much. No one chooses to overeat. No one chooses to be overweight. No one chooses to spend all their money and can't pay their bills on fucking shopping and fucking impulsive bullshit. But it makes them feel fucking good at the time, and it gets rid of this tragedy and this shitty life. So it's worth it at the time, until it's like, fuck, this sucks now. But you know, people look down on the drug addicts because it's like, well, they're just a drug. Just drugging. So, well, fuck off. You have no idea. It's not fucking something anybody wants to fucking do. If those people had a choice, they wouldn't be doing it. But they do it because they don't have a fucking choice. You know, if we switched up how we thought about these people, me included, this world wouldn't be such a shitty fucking place. You know, we actually cared for these people and showed them that, you know, like their parents that hurt them or abused them or neglected them or whatever the case is, maybe not even on purpose, but if the rest of the world didn't treat them the same way they've already been treated, they might have a regular dopamine release by just having a human-to-human reaction, conversation, dealing with somebody. This is why fucking meetings work. It's a bunch of addicts in a room together trying to actually help each other. These people actually feel like someone fucking cares for the first time, and they don't need to go get high to feel that fucking feeling. They can just simply fucking be around other people and fucking actually feel like other people care, and they can actually care for these people. So that actually works when they actually try to stop. But then they go out in public and someone just breaks them down. So then if they're not strong enough yet, they go fucking use. You know, I'm trying to help fucking people that are like me and all the time. And, you know, my wife doesn't understand it. She keeps talking down about them and thinks they're fucking nothing but trash. And it's like, I don't know where. I don't know what I can do anymore. She gets so fucking mad when I go help people out that are, you know, need help. And then I get in trouble. So it's like, well, then if I don't go help them out, I don't feel right because I need to help these people. I don't know why. It's something I need to do. I feel like it's something I should be doing. If you can help somebody and you don't, like, that's wrong. That's wrong to me. Sorry, I'm kind of venting. Fuck. But anyways, I really liked that video. That TED Talk by the doctor, he really fucking made sense. I was watching a bunch of them. There's another one about this guy who used to be an addict, and I won't play it. It's like another copyright bullshit, but he used to be an addict, and now he's a fucking CEO of a company, and he says being an addict is what prepared him to do that. Because addicts are all or nothing. They either get high all the time or they don't do anything, you know. So anyways, and his rules of being authentic and not lying and not being afraid of hard work, the three rules of what his meeting, what they agreed on or whatever, that's what got him to where he got. So every time his business was about to fuck up and he thought it was over, and he could have lied and he could have hid, or he could have fucking just swept shit under the rug and tried to fix the problem, took the heat. Instead of doing that, he called the person, he fucking was honest with them, he was authentic, and, you know, he wasn't scared of the hard work that he had to do to make up for the fucking shit he fucked up. You know, every time it worked in his benefit by being honest. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say. If you're an addict out there and you're having fucking trouble, reach out to me, to anybody, wherever. Find a fucking meeting, and it'll help. I do it. Anytime I'm having trouble, even though I try to help people, I've been talking to people on various medias because they're not letting us have fucking... Well, now everything's opening up, so it's getting better, but... I mean, the fact that they can't have meetings right now for fucking people that need meetings like this is terrible. It's terrible. So hopefully... And how many drug addicts are going to have fucking TVs and computers and shit like that? You know, you can say most of the world has cell phones and all that. Yeah, I know a whole lot of people that lost everything because they needed to sell everything to get high, to feel that fucking feeling. So there's no way they can just go on Zoom and do their fucking Narcotics Anonymous meeting. It's not going to work like that. You know, people talking about COVID don't give two fucks about anybody like that. Well, they're a drug addict, they deserve to die anyways. Like, yeah, that's real fucking nice. Yeah, you're going to go around and say, oh, I want the world to change. This world is selfish and we don't care about each other and we need equality, yet the drug addicts are okay to go fucking die. Yeah, real fucking nice. You're not but a fucking two-faced fucking cunt. And I can say that because I'm not preaching equality. I'm preaching we should be all nice to each other. And you self-righteous fucks out there who are two-faced, your karma's coming to you. Bet your fucking bottom dollar fucking self-righteous ass. Anyways, I don't know where I was going to go with this. I just know that was something I really wanted to talk about. I wish I could reach out to that doctor and tell him how fucking awesome that TED Talk was. And if he's anywhere ever near here, I would fucking meet him. And he's not wrong. Like, I don't know Vancouver, but we got a native reserve here. And I'm not gonna, I mean, it's mostly Caucasian at the clinic I go to. But I'd say 10% of the people there are natives. And the natives on my reserve are doing okay financially. You know, they run the smoke trade here in town. But they don't get touched for that because of what happened. And, you know, a lot of people say, well, fuck, we did more than enough for them. It's not even us that fucked over the natives. It's our ancestors. And it's not even the natives that are alive today. It's their ancestors. It's not how that works, man. But yeah, they're feeling it too, you know. Anyways, I'm going to end it there because it's just sappy, and it's making me feel like shit. But fuck, man. This needs to change. You know? Telling people they need to quit drugs to get into magic. It's like, well, how the fuck are they going to do that? And they don't need to. Fuck, we're all creating a reality, whether you're fucking high or not. You want to do things like fucking astral travel and, you know, lucid dream and shit like that, then yeah, you're really going to need to cut back. You know, stay not high for a few fucking days and you're going to feel it like I fucking do when I lay down. When I'm not on something and the Suboxone's really low in my system, it's not like I just took Suboxone. I get that fucking, every single time I get the fucking sleep paralysis. Like my body's supposed to float out and go do something that I've been training for, yet it can't because I'm stuck here in this fucking realm because of the dope that's holding me down. What do? You know, I'm not ready to stop Suboxone yet. I can't. I mean, I shouldn't talk like that on like absolutes, but I'm worried about what may happen, and I don't want to lose everything I worked so hard to get. I know one day I'm going to have to. I'll use magic to support that, but right now, working a job and trying to maintain a house and cars and all that, you know, as much as I say I can manifest, pretty fucking quick. All that can go to shit if I relapse and start fucking up. So. If you're out there and you're trying to get in the occult and you know that whenever you're learning occult, you're not even thinking about dope and time flies by and whatever else, or you have something similar to that, and there's something else that you do from time to time that just, it's the one time you're not thinking about fucking dope and getting high and shit like that. There's something else that gets you going. Well, that something is very important. You need to explore that something. Slowly try to reduce, talk to people, myself, anybody, send me a message, call me, I don't care, I'll help you any hour of the day. I mean, if I'm working, I cancel the phone, but I'll return your call, I'll return your message, I swear to God. I got 3,000 messages in my email right now. I gotta go through them, but I will, and eventually hopefully it's not too late, but I'll fucking return your shit. Don't worry about that. I get a lot of junk. It's not people messaging me, by the way. Some of it is, but most of it is offers and junk. Anyways, I'm sure I have more to say about that. If I do, I'll put it at the end of this, but for now, I think that's enough. Alright, so that wasn't very long, even though you can't tell. One thing I really wanted to bring up is he talks about how his mother was sad because Jews were being rounded up and killed and all that. I'm guessing she wasn't one that died. He made it out because 1944, when he was burnt, was pretty far. I mean, going by the numbers I know. But anyways, he talks about how his mother, her being sad was enough for him to notice it and cry. Like he said all the Jewish babies were crying. And that was enough for him not to feel wanted. And it wasn't that. She was just worried, right? By accident. The baby was in tune attached to the mother, but she wasn't even crying. She was worried about her baby, losing her baby. She wasn't worried about whatever. Anyways, the point is, right now, drugs have blown up. People blame it on fentanyl and the pharmacies and all this shit creating the drugs. And obviously, they deserve probably some of the blame. Yes, making these drugs that are easy and fuck you right up and feel great, it's not so good. But I think it has more to do with when my mom, it might not even be her fault, right? My mom is one of the most loving people in the fucking world, on the face of the fucking planet. There's nothing she wouldn't do for her kids. But guess what? She didn't have a mat leave. She wasn't able to stay home with me. She had 3 days in the fucking hospital, maybe another 2 days after that, and then back to fucking work. And I was being babysat by my aunt, or whatever the case was. Not by my own mother. So, Maybe that's what I felt. Maybe that's why the first time I did drugs, I fucking felt that fucking feeling, because my neural pathways weren't fucking created right. Is that my fucking mother's fault? Hell no. I would never blame her for that. She's done more than enough. She is like 10 parents in one, you know? And it's not her fault. It's the fucking way we are. The way we have to fucking work and provide. I'm going to fucking work all the time. It broke my fucking heart to go back to work and leave my fucking daughter, man. It's one of the reasons I left fucking Matrix. And I fucking took 3 years off so I could stay home with her. I knew it wasn't fucking right. I knew it fucking wasn't right. And then I come to find out, well, yeah, you're neglecting your kids. They don't develop the neural pathways to get the dopamine release they need when they accomplish something, and they won't even cry for fucking mom. Well, holy fuck, you know? And that's our fucked up society. This doctor knows it. How many other doctors know it? Yet no one's being told this. They think there's a drug epidemic. Let's just put all these druggies on fucking methadone, Suboxone, let them have disability, and that's that. Fuck you. I fucking work. Damn proud of it too. I could be a fucking bum on disability. And not that anybody on disability is a fucking bum. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I could use my addiction to not work. And I'm not going to do that. But those people that are at home raising kids, that people are like, oh, they should go get a job. Really? Maybe they're actually ending the cycle. Because if they show their kids love and compassion, which I'm not going to say they all do, because if they're drug addicts, then they may not. But not every drug addict is a heartless piece of shit. Not every drug addict spends all the money they get. They buy their dope, and then they fucking spend the rest on their children, and they pay their fucking bills. And that's how they sustain it. I'm a drug addict. I'm an ex-drug addict. I bought a fucking house when I was still doing amphetamines. Bought this fucking house 5 years ago. I was doing amphetamines up until I found the occult. When I found the occult, I started slowly getting off of them. Still relapse from time to time and shit like that I have, but no longer. I mean, anyways. Point is, I'm a drug addict and I didn't fucking lose a damn thing. I've never lost a fucking car. I've never lost a house. I've never sold anybody's stuff to fucking fuel my addiction. Now, I stole things from people to steal because I was addicted to stealing, because I thought it was cool that I was smart enough to steal stuff and people couldn't figure it out or come up with these crazy things in my head. And once again, it's just something I was proud of, that I was that fucking deviously smart. But yeah, you can't brag about it because then you tell on yourself. Point is, people that judge these drug addicts that are at home on disability and welfare, yet they're caring for their children while your kid's off at daycare, not getting those neural pathways. And guess what? You're judging people, and now your kids might end up being a drug addict or addicted to food or addicted to porn or addicted to whatever other thing. The first thing they find and get that released. So you better hope to God it's not drugs, but the first thing they do that gives them a huge dopamine release that they haven't had because you weren't there to create those neural pathways. And I'm not trying to diss anybody who works or whatever, they're having kids. I get it. It's our society and it sucks. But now that you know about it, you got to figure something out. My wife's at home with my kids right now while she works, and she does and takes care of the baby, and she's a fucking champ, and I love her for it. Because if it wasn't for that, I'd be right back at home. But she have to find out this. And if she has to go back to work, but guess what? I'm coming home. I'll use my addiction to fucking stay home and take care of my kids if I have to. I'll make money online some other way. I already know how to make money online. I'm already making money online. It's not enough to cover most of my bills yet. But I'm fucking, I don't put any work into it, and I get about $100 a fucking week on the one thing. The other one's another, about $20 to $15 a day. Podcast is covering its own end right now. If I really wanted to amp it up, I'm sure I could. I could find all these different ways. I could start doing magic to create more ways. There's ways around it. If I have to, I'll fucking do it. But I guess the overall thing I'm going to say with that is, do your research into it and figure it out, because you don't want your kid to have some crazy addiction to something because they didn't get the neural pathways created. You got to understand that even if your kid is over the age of 3 or 4, they're still developing. Even if they're a fucking teenager, they're still developing. They need specific criteria. And instead of putting on TV shows at night and watching Grey's Anatomy and whatever other bullshit, put on a fucking book that might teach you something about your kid. Or, better yet, spend time with the fuckers. Anyways, I'm going to get brutal. I am still in a bad mood too, so think I'm just going to end it there. Keep it a dark video about dope. And yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoy. Don't judge drug addicts. If they do something to you, well, then you can hate them or whatever you want. But otherwise, you don't know. You don't know what they're going through. And most of the ones I know and hang out with would give you the shirt off their fucking back. The one issue they have is that they do dope. But besides that, they're actually really nice, good people. They had hard upbringings, and this is how they deal with life. You try living when you never feel any release, any love, anything. If you're incapable of feeling love, when you fall in love, what happens? You get a dopamine release. Well, if you're somebody who never had those neural pathways develop and you fall in love, you wouldn't know it because you don't have a dopamine release. The only time you can find it is doing a fucking drug. You try living like that. That's the shittiest fucking way to live, period. Bar none. Stop fucking judging people.